We're going to have a very amazing conversation, Nim and I, on the subject of cybersecurity, AI, in terms of opportunities, challenges, and career opportunities for those of you who are thinking about getting into cybersecurity. So, Nim, why don't we start with you? How are you? How's everything going? Tell us about yourself and the journey you've walked
Thank you.
all this while.
Thank you, Elliot. I'm really excited to be here. Congratulations on LaCroix Institute and its great success. And of course, thank you to Microsoft for allowing us to use the space and to be able to talk about different Microsoft AI Copilot and different technologies that we're going to talk about today. A little bit of background for all of you. I'm Nim Nataraja. I've been doing this for about 30 years in technology and transformation. And being born in the late 70s, I've lived through a millennia, several decades of transformational change
Right.
in technology, and seen the how technology can transform our lives. And I'm really looking forward to share some of these insights and what are the opportunities out there for people to leverage today.
Amazing. So, why don't we talk about your path? How did you get into cybersecurity? Maybe start by telling us what you do right now and how you got there.
Sure. Today, I run a company called Critical Matrix Consulting. We've been in business for about 15 years. We specialize in cyber, data, identity, and governance. Um, and yeah, we're just very passionate. And I think uh, how I ended up in security, I'm passionate about taking care of businesses and people. What excites me is sharing the opportunity to allow them to become safer, more secure, teaching them ways of becoming a better company and more secure as individuals as well. Um, and purpose. I believe my purpose is to train people and share with people how technology can positively impact their lives.
Mm.
And I believe throughout my career, I've done that from underground transformations of minds to launching banks to revolutionizing the bedside experience for patients, uh, and mobile payment systems. And I've had a very fun and exciting digital career.
Mm.
And I think I'm at a point now where our company is focused on taking all this knowledge across not just myself but everyone else in our organization and bringing that to individuals, bringing that to companies, so that as we enter the next era, the next digital era,
Mhm.
we're more wholesome, we're more complete, and we have clarity and understanding on how technology affects our lives and how to do it securely, which is the most important thing.
Exactly. And talking about security and doing things securely, uh, I've known you now for many years, and we met within the context of an ERP implementation project. And so let's talk about security as it concerns projects of that magnitude. ERP projects are usually huge projects and they take up a lot of resources. But one thing that people don't understand or realize is that those projects have a huge, cybersecurity and risk component to it. So I remember there was one incident where we had an issue with maybe provisioning the instances for that company, and it wasn't properly provisioned. We got into some trouble with the cloud space, but then thanks to your help, thanks to your expertise and your team at the time, we were able to solve that. So uh, I guess I'm trying to say, what should companies consider, even if you're just doing an ERP implementation or a CRM or just installing any kind of software? What are those cyber considerations that companies need to bear in mind?
Massive change is not just an impact on technology, but a significant impact on people.
Right.
And the irony of this is that people are putting in technology. So
Exactly.
without the people, there wouldn't be technology.
Mm-hmm.
And in that particular instance, I recall one of the major challenges in provisioning was identity. And identity, for as long as I have been in technology, has always been sort of that first level of defense for organizations.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I ask people, what's the number one thing that gets hacked?
Mm-hmm.
And, why are hackers attacking you? What do they want from you?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer usually is, oh, they want our money, our credit card, our phone number, our social insurance, our data. It's wrong. They want identity.
Mm-hmm.
9 out of 10 times, hackers these days are not even hacking. Like we're all used to seeing in the movies, green
Right.
screen, they have their tools running, and that doesn't even happen. They simply get your identity because you willingly give it up,
Mm-hmm.
and they're logging in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. So where I come into this from a transformation perspective is tell people, let's begin by understanding what role identity plays in your organization.
Mm-hmm.
Questions like how secure is your Active Directory? If something happens to AD, how do you recover it? Do you know how to bring it back? What are the problems you're facing? And how much have you trained your organization and your people?
Right.
Because without the education of how do you protect the information and the identity in your organization, humans are always going to be the weakest link.
Right.
Like I have yet to meet an AI system that is, going to be able to solve some of these problems.
Right. And rightfully, talking about AI, the example we talked about was when AI already existed, but it wasn't as talked about as we have it now. So I don't know if you can turn on the news or scroll some social media platform without seeing something about AI.
Yeah.
And mind you, we've not talked about ChatGPT yet. This is the first time I'm seeing ChatGPT. So
Today.
today, exactly. So what are you seeing with AI as concerns cybersecurity? First of all, maybe let's explain in very basic ways what AI is. How do you see AI?
AI is, in my opinion, a very popular buzzword.
Mm,
So is the word cloud. And if we go far enough in time, so was the word wheel
mm,
or engine.
mhm.
Um, it
Right.
is anything that is in sort of that transformative era becomes sort of a fad, and we all grab onto it. We are all running businesses, and we kind of want to catch the fad in order
Hmm.
to ride the wave, and all that nice stuff. But AI to me right now, we are in such an infancy stage. And to me, we're progressing faster than we have ever done in AI
Hmm.
now. But AI has been around for a while, guys. I mean, spell check in Microsoft Word
Right.
1995 was AI.
Right.
It was predicting, based on what should be the correct spelling of a word,
Hmm.
the incorrectly spelled words. And then along came grammar, right?
Drama.
Grammar check.
Exactly.
Um, to a certain extent, Clip It. Remember Clippy?
Right.
Everybody
Right.
remembers Clippy? Clippy's back.
Yeah.
Hi, I
Windows
noticed you're writing a
98.
letter. Do you want help writing a letter? Right? That was AI.
Right.
So that's where we are now. But in my opinion, it's always AI equals IA.
Hmm.
And we're on the verge of becoming better at intelligent automation.
Hmm.
And once you start understanding what this means, and we're going to explore this a little further on in our chat,
Right. Right.
it becomes clearer on where we are, where we're going, and what we need to do to get there.
So let's press on that a little further. Intelligent automation. One of the reasons why a lot of people um, hang on to AI is because many of the reports, many of the talks around AI usually focus on what AI is going to take away from us. So, like you mentioned, AI is at its nascent stage. It's very uh, it's it's very uh, focused, very specific on certain tasks. So that's artificial narrow intelligence. That's where we're at now. And if you look at the spectrum of AI development, you have from narrow to general intelligence. Now, what we've seen in the movies is something comparable to general intelligence, where you have AI being a competitor to human intelligence, but we're far away from that. We don't even know if we'll get there. Right now, what we have is narrow intelligence, and as amazing as it looks, it's still narrow. And so, to your point, how do we leverage AI for IA, which is intelligent automation? How do we flip the script? How do we make it positive?
You know, when we were in the third industrial revolution and we were mechanizing things,
Mhm.
people were afraid of that mechanization process.
Right,
They were worried that the introduction of machines into a manufacturing process would take away human jobs.
right,
But obviously, it didn't do that. We're here today with significantly advanced mechanization. Some mechanization we're considering introducing IA processes
right.
too. I used IA, not AI, um, to enhance and perform better. And I heard the same feedback when the cloud, right? Like in the early to mid 2000s, oh, the cloud came out. Oh, the cloud's going to take away jobs.
Mhm.
Uh, our data centers, our IT teams, what's going to happen to them? And yet here we are with companies like, Microsoft, who has helped create so many more jobs and
Right.
enable so much more capability within the Azure ecosystem,
Mhm.
for example. So how does that translate into where we are today? Well, embracing it and understanding it and educating yourself on what is it that we should know about AI.
Mhm.
I was at a conference, Elliot, a few days ago, and somebody walked up to me and said, "Hey, Nim, I want to catch up with you on your perspective of AI. How do you feel about that? It's going to take away a lot of IT jobs,
Feel.
right? It's how do I feel about it taking away IT jobs? It's like, well, what do you? So I double clicked on it because I wanted to understand where are they going? What are they talking about?
Right.
And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, it's going to replace most of the jobs people are doing.
Mhm.
I said, well, how so? And he had an answer. He kind of fumbled around. But then I said, how much of your own research have you done to understand what are we talking about
Mhm.
commercially
Right.
when we say the words AI? Um, and his answer was, well, I'm watching the news. I'm, Facebook, whatever. Haven't actually done any courses or whatnot. And I said, well, education is the gateway to eliminating ignorance.
Mhm.
And it's very important. And I'm being a little harsh here when I say ignorant,
Mhm.
because, yes, AI might have alternatives where we automate certain processes.
Mhm.
And if those processes get automated, intelligent automation, that allows us humans to not control a process, but to provide the knowledge worker support around the process, the quality, the enablement, the
Exactly.
activation, and the support, as opposed to doing the process. Um, bank deposits, bank back office.
Mhm.
A lot of those processes have now been automated, and people are wondering, what's happening to all these back office workers
Mhm.
and these employees and these. But going through that change was difficult. It was hard to process and adopt. But now with digital clearing, there's an entire ecosystem around digital clearing and digital processing of banks,
Mhm.
and those people have jobs. So we're always going to find a way to move forward. That's
Mhm.
the goal here. But fearing the change or resisting the change, we've learned it, the technology and the time will still move past us,
Right.
right? It's that adage in change management, right? The train is leaving the station. Are you on it, or are you trying to stop people from
Right.
getting on it? Because it's leaving,
Mm.
right? So be early, understand, capitalize as much as you can,
Mhm.
because it will only be more beneficial to you.
Right. And speaking of change and opportunity, that reminds me of, when the ATM machines got introduced, I surprisingly found some news reports about, the job of tellers being replaced.
Yeah,
Well, the nature of the job changed from paying out cash to
yeah,
building relationships.
absolutely.
And so, in a similar fashion, a lot of the relationships, a lot of the jobs that uh, could be automated, of course, would be automated, but then the nature of most jobs will change. to add more value. And not to say in any way that uh, nothing is going to be lost. Of course, some things will be lost, sadly. But I think personally that uh, the net gain from the introduction of AI would ultimately surpass the net loss.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to your point, we ought to understand it. What is it all about? We got to put ourselves in a spot where we are leading
Yes.
and not following when it comes to AI. And in terms of leadership, AI leadership, a lot of this got uh, a lot of AI now is possible because we have supercomputing powers, we have supercomputing infrastructure in the form of cloud technology.
Mm-hmm.
The government of Canada has put in place, as well as a lot of provincial and territorial governments have programs, grants, helping businesses to, get online or improve their security space. And so, you as an expert in cybersecurity, what are those opportunities you're seeing in terms of cybersecurity and AI for companies? What can we do with AI on a practical sense in a company?
My when it comes to cybersecurity, there's tremendous opportunity to leverage AI.
Mhm,
Microsoft's Security Copilot solution is, when it's generally available, is going to completely disrupt the way uh, we look at security.
mhm,
It's going to automate things to a degree in which a security analyst is performing their role doing true investigative actions
mhm,
as opposed to trying to parse rules and tune out noise.
mhm,
Um, Security is an area where there's a lot of information. And the biggest intelligent automation we're going to get in the security space is machines using pre trained rules to make intelligent conclusions out
right.
of this data. What I truly believe is we're in the fourth industrial revolution,
Mhm,
where data is our biggest commodity.
right.
It is the oil.
It's the new oil.
It's the new oil. And with the volume of data that we are producing with our advanced systems, there is many ways to draw conclusions, early warning signals, and pattern-based recognition.
Mhm,
So with the change in computing power, with access to data, we can put these things together and automate making those conclusions.
right.
This is where LLM models come in and the technology of um, uh, big data
Mhm,
and data analysis and data sciences come into play. We've been doing all these things together before, but what ties them all together is our ability to intelligently automate that process
mhm,
to then give us predictive signals
right.
that we still need to double check
Mhm,
because intelligent automation can make mistakes,
mhm,
but it makes our lives as humans easier.
yeah, a lot.
So,
Mhm,
this is the digital exoskeleton
mhm,
for any organization.
mhm,
Leveraging Copilot solutions and intelligent automation allows you to do things stronger, more effectively
mhm.
with the same horsepower that you have today,
The
right?
superpower.
You're superpowered and you're kind of supercharging the data.
Mhm,
There's so much data being produced today. Last I checked, per day, we're in the petabytes of information production.
that's a lot.
How are we going to parse and make this into knowledge?
Mhm,
I have a company that I've done some work with in our firm. We're very close to them. They do ultra high frequency ultrasound to detect prostate cancer
mm,
in men. AI has completely transformed the way that technology will be working in the future.
mhm,
There are many positive applications that are going to enhance the outcome of human life by this intelligent automation.
mhm. So my area of expertise is the enterprise software solutions, the ERPs, the CRMs, and all of those tools that we use every day. And typically, companies, especially the small and mid-sized companies, think of digital transformation as infusing software, infusing more technology. And so when you bring in AI, when you bring in cybersecurity, on top of the fact that many of those huge software projects don't succeed for various reasons, but when you add complex topics like cybersecurity and AI, it just makes it so overwhelming. Think about the regular small and mid-sized business just trying to be right on the right side of things. What advice would you give? How would a company start? Let's say a company is not very digitally mature and they have goodwill. They have resources they want to put on the side to get more digitally mature. What advice would you give them, given that they have a lot of data? Should they start by implementing software systems? Should they clean up the data? Where would they typically start from?
So I would always go back to my basic philosophy of how to approach change.
Mm,
A tool, a software, a thing that you pay and buy is not going to solve the problem.
mhm.
It starts with education because humans are the center of the entire technological lifecycle ecosystem in our workplace.
Right.
It starts with education. So I would, as a leader, if I was the, sort of owning this responsibility in a company, I would, one, get myself up to speed so I can speak to my colleagues in the business side on how I can correlate technology enabled business value.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's like saying, okay, we're going to go buy a new CRM system. Well, if the director of sales and product uh, don't see the value in a new CRM system and you're driving it as an IT project,
Mm-hmm.
we both know it's going to fail.
Right.
So I would start there as a leader, come up to speed on what are my solution options, uh, what are my alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Microsoft, for example, has an AI fundamentals course for leaders. Very simple overview. It's simple enough that I understand it,
Right.
right? I would do that.
You the expert.
Like Lacroix Institute, you guys have a program you're launching
Right.
soon on AI,
Right.
right? These are fantastic ways of coming up to speed. Second, once we understand what it means, how are we going to weave this into the fabric of what we're already achieving in our organization?
Mm,
How are we going to use this better understanding of data? What is the end result of a security copilot solution? What is the outcome that we are going to tie to in our strategy?
mhm,
Is it people? Is it process, technology? Where is it going? And then I'd educate my team
mhm.
because there's nothing worse than getting a group of people together and saying, we've decided to do this, we're going in this direction, and no one has clarity and fit for use and purpose.
Right.
And once I have a small team who understands it, there's a leadership and a vision, there is sort of that alignment on what is the purpose and value of doing this.
Mhm.
Now we can look at a tool. And the tool is always close to home that's easiest to integrate is what is your core enterprise platform?
Right.
Are you using Entra ID? Are you using Azure? Are you using Microsoft M365 E5?
Mhm.
And if these are tools that are near and dear to your business, then not that, there may not be other solutions, but I'm saying always start close to home
Mhm.
because these solutions will work best. They natively integrate with what you're trying to achieve. And your team already understands how to support Microsoft.
Mhm.
So it won't be too far fetched for them to extend through basic training
Right.
to be able to integrate some of these Copilot and AI solutions.
Amazing. And speaking of that, let's transition a little bit into the space where we talk about some of the challenges, you know, of adopting cybersecurity best practices. And so, one of them you've laid out so beautifully. Uh, One way for us to get up to speed, the starting point is understand the battle, understand what you're dealing with. And so it could start from training courses. It could also be consulting experts like yourself to, even if it's just providing a second opinion on whatever is it that the leader is trying to get out of cybersecurity. So, in terms of challenges, you as an expert, what have you seen to be the biggest roadblocks when it comes to adopting best cybersecurity practices or even just working with AI across the board, be it big or small companies?
I think uh, small companies and big companies have different size problems
Hmm.
and different types of problems. Um, in small companies, it's a complete lack of a proper security framework. In large companies, it is a distribution of too many security tools that you now can't see in sort of a single perspective.
Hmm.
Um, so now you need something else that's going to bring all this data together for you
Right.
so you can now make intelligent conclusions. Versus on the smaller side, they have nothing
There's nothing.
and they don't have enough. But sometimes in their um, desire to want to have the best, they look at the size of the investment and say, I don't know if I can do this, I can't afford it. And the decision gets delayed until there is a significant adverse event. And then, some of them have cyber insurance, some of them don't. And then, the recoverability. So 60% of small businesses who get hacked
Right.
never come back, right? So that is a very sad ending to something that could have been very affordably mitigated, right?
Hmm.
And they need to talk to people. The number one thing is find yourself an expert. Find yourself somebody who knows to talk to you in a truly uh, agnostic, impartial way that's going to guide you
Right.
and then help make these decisions. On the larger company side, you've got too many tools, you've got too many things. And in the net perspective of this,
Hmm.
it is costing you more to run all these tools.
Right.
And now you're going to need something else to consolidate data. So drive your business towards standardization and centralization
Platforming.
of platforming of
Yeah.
data. Because in order to get to where you want to be, you need to have control over your information and
Right.
data. The moment you don't have that control, let's not even talk about what comes next. Let's
Hmm.
focus on establishing that centralization of control.
Hmm. So, talking about risks, what have you seen to be, what would you describe to be a typical case of an attack? What does an attack look like? Because sometimes when we talk of cybersecurity and attacks, it's movie style. We often think about something physical, punching a wall or a burning building, but in the cyber world is different. So
Very
what does
different.
an attack look like? And what are the weakest links in the chain to look out for?
The answer is really simple.
Mm.
The average attack, I'm going to say 95% of the attacks are the hacker saying, yep, first name, last name at company.com. Here's the password. I'm in, right? Uh, then obviously they
That
find ways.
easy.
It's that easy because you know what? Uh, Credential phishing, ransomware, and business email compromise are still 90% of the threats that we're experiencing today.
But why is that?
And these are caused by, all of these are caused by humans being the weakest link.
Mm.
Social engineering, phishing. I clicked on it by accident. I'm so sorry.
Hmm.
And in my conversations, I found it's still all of you using the same password across every single account you have. You'd be surprised how many people I talk to that, and I say, "Hey, do you have MFA enabled on WhatsApp?" And they're like, "No, why would I do that?" Okay, do you have a PIN access for WhatsApp? No, why would I do that? Well, because you want to protect the information in
Right.
there from somebody coming in from outside. And I'm using WhatsApp as an example, but this many people don't even know there's multi-factor for Facebook, a multi-factor for Twitter, Instagram, TikTok,
Right.
etc. But the scary part is the password that they use at work. It's a password they're using on Instagram.
The puppy's name.
Yeah, and then they go ahead and they post on Facebook, here's my puppy, Shiloh, and Shiloh is going to be 3 years old today eating cake. And in that picture, there's a label of an Amazon package with the address of where they live and Shiloh the puppy and all this other information. So a true social engineering expert can look at that photo and say, dog's name is Shiloh. They have a 3-year-old daughter. The daughter's tagged in the photo. You know, her name is Ariana, and the address of the people that live there.
We just
You've
sold it
given it
out.
up on social media,
Right.
right? So educating people on that behavior is very important. Like I just posted something a few weeks ago, Elliot. It was beginning of September. Everyone was posting pictures of their kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the dumbest idea ever.
Mm-hmm.
The child is holding a card that shows their face, their name,
Mm-hmm.
the school, what grade they're in, the year they were born, their teacher's name, their favorite subject,
Wow.
and what they want to be when they grow up.
Mm.
How easy is it for me to now
Just build a profile.
build a profile?
Mm-hmm.
It's all there. I had a whole LinkedIn post, and it got a lot of views and comments
Mm-hmm.
because it's something so simple that we take for granted that
Right.
it's actually now sharing data.
Mm-hmm.
Data is the new oil.
The new
Everybody
oil.
wants it, including the hackers.
Right.
Um, so change that behavior. The biggest risk right now is our ability to prevent these attacks from happening
Mm-hmm.
by employees and individuals willingly sharing that information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, get pound. Or in Firefox, when you go into the default screen, there's a service where you can enter your email address and it tells you if you show up on a dark web list.
Right.
Check that. If you see that you've been pound, change your passwords,
Mm-hmm.
right? Use a password generator, right? Make sure your passwords are complex, not easily guessable.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like it's like uh, basic hygiene, I call it,
Mm-hmm.
is where we need to begin.
So that's basic cyber hygiene.
I'm sorry if you guys expected like some super fancy answer, like yeah, you need to deploy Defender for Cloud and run all these cool tools. No, no, like, guys, like, those are amazing tools that we all need in our companies, but
Mm-hmm.
none of those tools work if you just give up your password
Mm-hmm.
and the bad actor can come in and then move north, south, east, west throughout the organization. I've seen cases where they were able to compromise, move across the organization, get a privileged ID,
Mm-hmm.
even go in and create users within the organization, and have been attacking them for months before it gets noticed. So let's educate to mitigate. That's where it begins.
Right. And speaking about education, that's something else that we could discuss. A lot of companies would have training programs, especially the large companies. You would have maybe quarterly training programs, maybe from HR, just to show that they've gone through what's mandatory, the check boxes. But are we truly investing in training? So I think your advice, from what I'm understanding here, is that companies need to really pay attention to training the people, training employees on cybersecurity,
Mm-hmm.
and to an extent AI. I think we have this slogan at Lacroix Institute where we say, "You learn technology today so you can lead tomorrow."
Mm-hmm.
And so, speaking of learning, speaking of training, what would you recommend? What kind of training does a company need to? What kind of training program do they need to have? How do you strengthen those weak links, which always and most of the time are the people? How do you strengthen that? What kind of
You guys are
programs?
launching an AI training program at Lacroix,
Right.
and you've got how many courses were you planning on having in there?
So far on AI, we have 8 courses.
Wow.
Yes, 8 courses. We're very innovative when it
Yeah.
comes to that landscape of training, uh, according to how the market is responding.
Mm-hmm.
So far we have 8 courses.
Right. And then your courses follow something called the SPAR technique.
Exactly.
But I forget what the acronym stands for.
Specific,
Yeah.
practical,
Yeah.
affordable, and realistic.
Perfect.
All of our courses are like that.
So there's a play on words there. Don't spar with your career.
Exactly.
I love it. So that is a fantastic example. Just not a premeditated plug, guys, but I learned about this a few minutes before this meeting.
Mhm.
And so I think this is a fantastic opportunity because using educational providers such as the Lacroix Institute, individuals can gain perspective into the technology in a very safe way.
Mhm.
Now, that's great to get fundamental understanding and experience, but to make it pragmatic, you go through this journey and you get the clarity that you need on what is AI, how does AI work, where do we apply it. But now there's the technical application of it in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
There's the so what, as I like to call it, where the results come in,
Right.
right? This teaches you the why, but now the so what piece.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, Microsoft has some great training programs. I am looking at my phone. I apologize because I do need to read these. I don't know them off by heart.
Sure, go ahead.
But Elliot, there's some amazing uh, courses offered
Right.
because what Microsoft has done is they've taken learning paths
Mm-hmm.
for different solutions in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the AI fundamentals, which is you just get started with AI and what is
Basics.
artificial intelligence, the basics, right? Then you go into the visual tools for machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if intelligent automation is the beginning of true AI, because we don't have anything sentient today. Sentient means a machine that
It's
has
conscious.
is conscious.
Mm-hmm.
It has feelings. It responds to situation based on the context that it is in.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any of that, so it's still machine learning. So the fundamentals of machine learning. Then there's exploring computer vision. So how do we take various situations um, and leverage the Azure AI platform with the visual aspect of
Right.
capability, video processing, and so on and so forth? Um, Natural language processing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still disappointed when I look at these AI assistants like Siri and Amazon's Alexa
Yeah, yeah,
and
exactly.
Hey Google.
Alexa.
It's like you can't have a conversation because you ask them, what is the weather today? They tell you what the weather is. And then you ask another question following on to it.
They
They don't
don't,
have that
yes, they don't
continuity,
connect the dots.
contextual
Exactly.
continuity, right? And that comes with natural language processing,
Mm-hmm.
where the AI system should be able to say, hey, what's the weather today? It says, do you think I should wear a t-shirt? And the system could say yes or no, or, this is what I
Right.
think, right? Um, Explore decision support. Decision supporting is understanding how you can get into some of these prompt writing and GPT capabilities,
Right.
uh, because that's an entire industry right now,
Full
right?
blown.
Full blown
Yeah.
prompt writing. So these are some fun courses. If you go to learn.microsoft.com, you'll see a ton of courses that you can take
Mm-hmm.
in terms of exploring where your individual fit may lie with your desires and interests for AI.
Exactly. And you mentioned prompting. There's a new profession that's brewing. It's actually very lucrative because you don't have a lot of people with 50 years of experience in prompt engineering. And so the market is going towards that space where, yes, you have cybersecurity, you have AI infused into cybersecurity, making it even better. Then we've just talked about digital talent. Digital talent would be the scenario where employees are very tech savvy because they've gone through a lot of training. They understand technology, not just from the perspective of this is technology, but how do I leverage technology?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're adding AI onto it. And those prompt engineers are those who actually make the AI to make sense. So you're asking AI questions or you're interacting with AI in a way that it generates reasonable answers and answers that have value. And so that's where I'm seeing uh, some opportunity in terms of career. So if we switch gears and talk about career opportunities, what would you advise somebody who's trying to get into cybersecurity? Because cybersecurity is as vast as, say, healthcare. You can't just say, I'm going into healthcare. You could be a surgeon, you could be an emergency responder, you could be anything. What would you advise somebody who's trying to get into that space?
Seek out a mentor. Seek out a mentor. Seek out somebody who knows what they're doing in the space and have done it
Are you
before.
available for mentorship?
I'm absolutely available for mentorship. I really enjoy it. I love coaching. I love helping people find their path.
Mm-hmm.
Seek out a mentor and somebody who can relate to your journey, because that's important because that provides them relatable context to your situation. Another thing, AI cannot do right now is that pull
Right.
relatable individual context. Um, because they will be able to guide you the best, understand where you are, how you got there, what your interests are, and how to best integrate into a cybersecurity
Right.
ecosystem. There's programs out there today where, in 3 months and 6 months, you can become a white hat hacker. and these programs cost $10,000 to $12,000. Tons of educational institutions here in Toronto offer that, but maybe that's not you. There's other things to do in security other than learning how to do it, ethical hacking, right? Um, so seek out a mentor. That would be my first guidance.
Yep. So getting a mentor, that's obviously one way to prep yourself. Obviously, there's training. So once you prep yourself, that's your mindset side of things. Then you actually do it. You actually maybe get yourself
Yeah.
trained. Then you get into cybersecurity. So what kind of job opportunities are available when it comes to cybersecurity? You just mentioned white hat hacking. What else exists in that
There's a
space?
4 million headcount hole in the cybersecurity marketplace
4 million.
across North America,
That's a lot.
predicted across the next 7 years.
Hmm.
How are we going to fill that hole in cybersecurity? I mean, that is a big gap.
It is huge.
So there's an abundance of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about economic times. We talk about, um, you know, what's going to happen economically at the end of 23, beginning of 24, all this market speculation. But I don't see that changing significantly with the lens of cybersecurity on,
Mm-hmm.
because there is a cyber war. It's been happening for a long time.
Right.
Is it going to get worse? Likely. Um, Regulators are changing the way they're looking at organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Quebec Bill C,
Quebec,
Law
exactly.
25.
Mm-hmm.
Canada, for the rest of Canada, we've got C26 and 27.
Mm-hmm.
And as regulators tighten up regulation, companies become more liable. Disclosure is becoming mandatory.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of cyber work to do.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, what is your purpose and what is your passion?
I like that.
And if you can determine what in cybersecurity you're passionate about, and you feel that your purpose is in that direction, then find a mentor who's going to coach you into being successful there. Yeah.
That's such amazing advice for somebody who is really looking into career opportunities. So,
Oh yeah, I met a teacher online last week.
right.
He wrote me on LinkedIn. He's a teacher who decided to switch into a cybersecurity career.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
And phenomenal. And I asked him those questions. Where are you, passion, purpose, your journey, and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we found something that fits exactly for him from a course perspective and
Mm-hmm.
from a just trying to get acclimated to the
Right.
to the ecosystem. So I just wanted to raise that example because a teacher, a K to 12 teacher, has nothing to do with cybersecurity other than being an end user and
So far removed.
yeah, so far removed, and that's a ginormous career change.
Right.
But it can be done.
It is possible. And I like that message, that, note of optimism, because a lot of people feel that, technology as a whole is this very difficult to get to. It's a hard to get kind of space. But the reality is that the barriers to entry are very low.
Yeah.
And it's so vast in technology that you could always find your space. So specifically, when it comes to cybersecurity, I have personally a lot of profiles, including the teacher. I've never seen a teacher though, but I've seen a nurse, I've seen an accountant, I've seen customer service, I've seen a business analyst, Scrum masters, and other IT professionals, just making it a natural step into cybersecurity. So I think the message we're trying to pass across here is that everybody has a space at the table, everybody can get in, and it just depends on your passion and your purpose.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's very good advice. We're coming towards you know, the end of our chat, sadly, for today, but we're going to keep this conversation going. We're going to have many more chats with Neem. Neem is the CEO of Critical Matrix. It's a cybersecurity consulting firm based here in Toronto. I am the president of Lacroix Institute of Technology. We do technology training, including for cybersecurity. Our whole purpose today was to start and if not further conversations around cybersecurity and how artificial intelligence fits in all of that, as well as the opportunities and career options you might have getting into cybersecurity. And so we would call it a wrap for today, but stay tuned for more of such content from us. It's been a pleasure, Nim. Do you have any last minute advice to give our
Folks,
audience?
look me up on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Nim Nataraja. Add me on LinkedIn, message me, engage, because that's the best way for us to get to know each other and to be able to build a relationship to help you the best. Yeah. So thank you for having me, Elliot. Thank you, Microsoft, for allowing us to host here, and I'm looking forward to the next session.
Thank you, especially Microsoft. It's a beautiful space, and I love my latte. So looking forward to that. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Thank you, guys, and have a good day.